Hey there, everyone. Today's topic is the life cycle of the heart. And today specifically is the beginning of that life cycle and kind of the middle. So birth and life of the heart. It starts off with not great news, just going to warn you. We are all born with a sinful heart. Psalm 51:5. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. And that's true for everyone because everyone is a sinful, we all have Adam's fallen sinful nature. So Ephesians 2, verses 2-4. And you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air. That's the devil. The spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the flesh and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. So, did you catch that? All of mankind are children of wrath. Not great news. Mark 7, verses 21-23. For from within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person. It's not the devil that tricks us or tempts us. It's not a corrupt society that makes us go bad. It all comes from within our own heart. That's the nature of our heart. Jeremiah 17:9 and 10 says this very clearly. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind. Romans 3, verses 10-12, and then skipping to verse 18. As it is written, none is righteous, no, not one. No one understands. No one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. And those are all direct quotes to the Old Testament. There is no fear of God before their eyes. And we learned a few weeks ago that it's a very bad thing to not have any fear of God. So what are we supposed to do with this information? We're all sinful. We all fail. No one seeks God. Okay. What about those people that you know who are seeking God? Hopefully you watching this video or me making this video, right? So here's the bit of good news. That's how every heart begins, but that's not how every heart stays. So some hearts change. And the only way that happens is by God. So let's start with the heart of a born-again believer in Jesus Christ. This is someone who has committed their lives to Jesus Christ, who has repented of their sins and lives for him. God gives every believer a new heart. Ezekiel 36, verses 26 and 27. And I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you. And I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes and be careful to obey my rules. So he doesn't leave us with this sinful heart. He gives us a new heart. Now, the heart of someone who is not a born-again believer, who has not repented and submitted to Christ, they might believe that there's a God, they might believe in God, but do they believe his words? Do they seek to please him? Do they strive to understand and know God more? God does not give them a new heart. Instead, he gives them over to the sinful heart that they already possess. He leaves them alone. Romans 1, verses 21, and the whole section is good, but then I'm skipping to verse 24. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Therefore, God gave them up in the lusts of their hearts to impurity. So, born again believer, you get a brand new heart. That's what separates a born again believer from the rest of the population. And the rest of the population don't get a new heart. So back to the believer. What does this new heart do for you? The new heart makes it possible for a believer to seek God and find him. Remember that verse that said, no one seeks God, not one, no one is righteous. The new heart is what makes it possible for us to seek God. It gives us the desire to seek God and know him more. Jeremiah 29, verses 13 and 14. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile. Now that was, he was speaking to the Israelites in that moment, but we're all separated from God by our sinful nature. God will bring us back from that. We'll seek him and we will find him when he gives us that new heart. And that's the only way that we can do that. And when that happens, he will bring us back to him. On the other hand, the hearts of everyone else who does not trust in the words of God, does not believe God's promises, does not, all those things, is not a born again believer, trusts in themselves to be good enough. That's impossible. The result of their darkened, hardened heart is that they are unable to see, to hear, to understand, and to believe. They're unable because it's not in their heart. John 12, verses 39 and 40. Therefore, they could not believe. For again, Isaiah said, he has blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, lest they see with their eyes and understand with their heart and turn, and I would heal them. So the only way that God heals us, that God brings us back to him, is if we seek him with our full heart. And our natural heart does not do that. Only a heart given to us by God, a heart transplant, if you will, with God's Spirit, would seek him. So I'll end with this. Ephesians 4, verses 17 and 18. Now this I say and testify in the Lord, that you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do, in the futility of their minds. They are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, due to their hardness of heart. They have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy, to practice every kind of impurity. But that is not the way you learned Christ. Assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him, as the truth is in Jesus, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God, in true righteousness and holiness. Okay, that's where we're going to end today. Hope everyone has a great week.